to get in the ring with boxers. And Tommy Fury don't count. Nor the no-name dude that you caught with an uppercut and put him down in the first or second round. Nor is it the 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Stephen A. Smith recently went off on Jake Paul for calling out Anthony Joshua, and he didn't hold back. Smith made it clear that it's time for Jake Paul to face real boxers, not YouTubers, aging legends, or unknown fighters. He dismissed Tommy Fury as a legitimate challenge and mocked Paul for fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Tell people what your workout is like and tell people how much you work on boxing and being in shape.
Waking up, at the track, running 800 meter, 400 meter, 200, 200, 800, 400, 200, 200, 200, sparring, sprinting, all types of workouts, push-ups, pull-ups, sledgehammer, tire flips, jogging 5 miles after that, abs, getting punched in the stomach nonstop, and then doing it all over again the next day. Ice baths, recovery, yoga, meditation, visualization, manifestation of winning the fight. And I think people get confused by me promoting the fight. They think I'm just like messing around by making these skits and having fun. And they think I'm, not going to come in and take this guy's head off.
Smith has also raised doubts about Jake Paul's commitment to boxing, questioning how much he actually trains. He challenged Jake to be open about his training habits and prove he's serious. In response, Jake Paul said that people might think he's just playing around with boxing, but he's actually very committed. He stressed that he works hard and is focused on improving. Paul wants to be seen as a legitimate boxer and continues to train to silence his critics.
Literally changed the channel from watching Stephen A's First Take to watch BS with Jake Paul. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's why we made this show. Stephen A. Smith, bro. Your team texted my team and said that you wanted me to text you to come on your podcast. So they gave me your number, I texted you, and you never responded.
You left him on.
Jake Paul also mentioned that Stephen A. Smith's team reached out to his team about appearing on Smith's podcast. Paul said that despite personally contacting Smith, he never got a response. This could be a case of miscommunication or scheduling conflicts, but Paul publicly bringing it up might be his way of prompting a response from Smith or highlighting a possible inconsistency in Smith's criticism.
I can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
Smith has strongly criticized Jake Paul for wanting to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson. Smith believed that if Paul is serious about boxing, he should face opponents who are closer to his own age and skill level, rather than targeting seasoned veterans like Anthony Joshua, who have much more experience. Smith argues that for Paul to be taken seriously, he needs to fight active boxers with similar abilities, not older, more experienced fighters who may be seen as past their prime.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him, and he got scared.
Smith has long questioned Jake Paul's choice of opponents, claiming that he mainly fights non-boxers or those who are past their prime. Jake responded by saying he tried to fight Tommy Fury, but Fury was too scared to accept the challenge. This is a crucial moment in Paul's boxing career. While Paul has beaten former MMA fighters and older boxers, he's yet to prove himself against young, rising stars. His fight against Tommy Fury, which he lost, was one of the few times he faced a real boxer in their prime. Paul insists that Fury didn't want a rematch, but critics argue that if he wants respect, he should fight more real boxers like Fury.
When have we seen Jake Paul get hit by anybody? It wasn't by Tommy Fury. It damn sure wasn't by Nate Robinson. Okay, it wasn't by Nate Diaz.
I think he took some big shots. He took some big shots from Fury.
Fury doesn't have big shots, Kyle. He can't punch. That's the one thing
I
he
mean,
can punch.
not like a legend like Mike Tyson, but Stephen A. is 58, bro.
I agree.
And I love Tyson. I don't even want to be saying this publicly, but it's Prize Picks, so we got to be truthful. I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen.
I don't want to see it either, but here's what I'm saying to you. I'm thinking it's going to be a long night, short night in a bad way for Mike Tyson because of his age. I get that part. What I'm saying is no one has hit Jake. So what if Jake finally does get hit? What do you think will happen then? We've never really seen him get.
Smith also criticized Jake Paul for not being able to handle strong punches. He dismissed the idea that Tommy Fury actually hurt Paul in their fight, saying that Fury isn't known for being a hard hitter. Smith pointed out that if Paul wants to fight bigger names, he needs to prove that he can take real punches. He believes Paul hasn't yet been tested by a fighter with real knockout power.
I hope you don't think that you're ready for some guy like Canelo Alvarez, though.
I am beyond ready.
Jake, come
I
on,
beat
man.
Canelo
God,
Alvarez.
Stephen A., you're just not happy with anything. First, you're like getting there with a real opponent, and then you're like, you're not ready for Canelo. You're not that crazy. Well, make up your mind.
What is your name again?
My name is Julia.
You can't sit up there and say I'm not happy with anything because I'm saying get in with a real boxer. But in the same breath, I'm like, you ain't ready for a world champion.
But I'm beating world champions in sparring.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Smith has made it clear that he wants Jake Paul to face real boxers, but not world champions or legends just yet. He told Paul, "You're not ready for a world champion." When Paul called out Canelo Alvarez in the past, Smith said Paul isn't anywhere near ready to compete with someone at that level. Smith believes Paul should build his way up and take on solid competition before aiming for the top fighters.
Everything was ready to go. 1 yard line, signed LOI. Basically, Turkey hates me. Absolutely hates me. We heard through the back channels for multiple weeks because we've been negotiating since the Monday after the Tyson fight. So we were negotiating for 2 months straight.
That's a lot of time.
And the whole entire time, Turkey was doing everything in his power to strip the fight, try to not make it happen, calling Canelo, calling Eddie Reynoso, basically saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To the point where he had to threaten Canelo to pull his 3-fight deal. You're not fighting Crawford. I'm not paying you any of this money. And he's basically paying him over $100 million for this random fight in May. And Canelo at some point is like, okay, you bought me.
There were reports that a fight between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez was close to happening, but it fell through because of a scheduling issue. Paul had been pushing for the fight, but it didn't come together. If it had, this would have been one of the biggest fights in Paul's career. But for now, it seems unlikely to happen.
I understood where Canelo's coming from. Anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you? And, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing, and I'm a champion walking around here, and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we gonna fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff, but you know how it goes, Stephen A. People say they're not interested in something until that number get large enough and all of a sudden start making a lot of sense.
Andre Ward has weighed in on the situation, saying that real boxers don't get frustrated when someone like Jake Paul calls out legends. Ward mentioned that if he were in this situation, he wouldn't take it seriously and would say, "I don't have time to entertain the circus." Many professional boxers share similar views. seeing Paul's fights more as entertainment rather than real boxing matches.
I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I know you probably signed an NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight was set up.
Blink twice.
I know you probably
I
can't
don't
say
never
nothing.
blink because I got these liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this. If I say Rampage pay you $2 million, right, that this dude beat you, what you gonna do? You're gonna feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah.
Right, that ain't enough money.
Yeah.
But I got paid in the Jake fights. For me to do that, I gotta be willing to walk away for good, and it gotta set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what was gonna happen to him had he dropped those hands. Before we fought, I said, hey, you can knock me out and I can knock you out, and I'm gonna try to fuck you up tonight.
There have been rumors that Jake Paul's fights are rigged and that he carefully selects opponents who will agree to fight for a big payday. Some people believe his fight with Tyron Woodley was staged, and the accusations of him picking easy fights have followed him throughout his boxing journey.
For Anthony Joshua to return, but we've heard absolutely nothing about it. Now, the Daily Mail are saying that Anthony Joshua is actually injured. Return timeline: as Eddie Hearn reveals, the heavyweight is unable to enter even training camp due to an injury setback. Anthony Joshua's estimated return date has been detailed after Eddie Hearn reveals the heavyweight has suffered from a setback. The Brit has been out of action since he lost against Danny Dubois in Wembley last September. With his future up in the air on the back of the devastating knockout defeat, fans have been curious to know as to what his next move is, with no announcements made, despite reports he could face longtime rival Tyson Fury as soon as this year. Now, however, it's been revealed that Joshua is dealing with an injury, as revealed by Eddie Hearn, when asked if Joshua could face Dubois in a rematch after the champion pulled out of his fight against Joseph Parker due to illness. Let's carry on. That's kind of a bit more of a miscellaneous stuff. No rematch with Dubois will be happening anytime soon, though, Eddie Hearn revealed, as he details when fans can expect Joshua's return to the ring. So we won't be seeing Anthony Joshua in the ring against Daniel Dubois for a rematch. That's not going to happen. I'm going to quote Eddie Hearn here directly. Now, it's interesting because Eddie Hearn hasn't really revealed much detail on it, but bear with me. It says, not a lot to report. Not a lot to report. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn told IFL from Australia, look, he resumed training, and to cut a long story short, without going into too much detail about any injury, he's not really ready to start camp. He needs another 8 weeks or so on his injury.
Eddie Hearn recently revealed that Anthony Joshua is injured and won't be fighting until at least August. Despite this, Jake Paul has still called him out, which has raised some eyebrows. Joshua was supposed to fight Daniel Dubois this year, but that fight is now off due to the injury. Paul's call out of Joshua has led some to wonder if he's serious or just trying to get attention.
I think when you lose a fight, you know, your pride's hurting and you want an immediate rematch. I think when the dust settles and actually that comes down to making that happen, you know, with AJ being 34 years of age now and everything he's achieved, like the Olympics were what, 12 years ago, over 12 years ago, and he's just been in the spotlight ever since. He's won everything. He's made, you know, been 2 times heavyweight champion. Made, I don't even know what he's made money-wise. Like, what's motivating him really to fight now? And the thing is, like, you know, yeah, you want to make as much money as you can when you're boxing, of course you do, and you do your deal and you're negotiating, and then really you forget about it, because actually it's not the money driving you every day in the gym. You know, yeah, you need to sort your business side of things out with your manager and promoter. You want to get as much as you can, but once that's done with, when you're in the gym and you're going through the pain barriers, it's not money that's driving you on. Do you know what I mean? It's to win, to be the best, and AJ's been the best. He's probably not going to be the best ever again, because I've never known a fighter at 34 to get better. The performances go downhill from here, and it can be hard to accept at times because you're dealing in fractions of seconds, you know, between winning and losing, between getting hit with a shot or slipping a shot. And I just think, like, you've seen that fight with Dubois, you've seen AJ, and AJ was coming into it off 2 good wins with a new trainer. His confidence in his team was good. You know, do you know what I mean? Everything was good for AJ going into that fight. And he didn't perform. You know, he got caught badly in the first round.
But I don't think he got caught cold. It was at the end of the first.
Many people think Jake Paul's challenges to top fighters are just for hype, and that he wouldn't stand a chance against someone like Joshua. Matt Mlin also commented, saying that Joshua has already done everything in boxing and that his best years are behind him.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and like, I'm actually being dead serious. Like, I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury and Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather McGregor. Like, yeah.
Even though Joshua is injured, he hasn't ruled out the possibility of fighting Jake Paul. According to Eddie Hearn, Joshua told him, "Listen, I'd fight him." Many see this as an unrealistic matchup because Joshua is a former world champion with much more experience. However, the fact that Joshua acknowledged Paul's challenge has kept the conversation going.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, "I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass." You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5 seconds.
Many fans are eager to see Anthony Joshua take on Jake Paul, believing that Joshua would easily dominate Paul in the ring. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates coming soon.